Good evening. We begin with an update for you to a story we first brought you on City News last night. Police say 30-year-old Michael Lewis was with his family when he was shot to death right here in Coronation Park last night. You can see some people who were here at the scene when shots rang out are back collecting some of their items. This happened just steps from the scene, and investigators are now on the hunt for 4 suspects. Officers were called to the scene near the lakefront at 6:15 yesterday evening. They found Lewis suffering from multiple gunshot wounds in the picnic area of the park. He was pronounced dead on scene. This afternoon, investigators provided an update on the city's 73rd homicide of the year.
Our investigation to date has led us to believe that shortly before the 911 call, 4 males approached Mr. Lewis, who was in the park here attending a memorial for a male who had been a homicide victim 9 years ago. The males approached Mr. Lewis, and after a short conversation, our shooter pulled a handgun and fired multiple shots, striking Michael Lewis at close range. Mr. Lewis collapsed to the ground, and the suspects fled the park northbound towards Lakeshore Boulevard.
Police said Lewis was attending a memorial with his pregnant partner and 2 children when he was killed. The memorial was for Kamal Hercules, who was shot to death outside a downtown convenience store in September 2009. A source told City News Lewis was a friend of Hercules. About 30 people were attending the memorial when shots rang out, and several more families were in the park. Investigators believe that Lewis knew the suspects. Anyone with information or video from the park is being asked to contact police or Crime Stoppers. And this weekend's fatal shootings has brought the number of homicides here in the city to 73. And with 4 months still left in the year, we've already surpassed 2017's homicide total of 66. Here's a closer look at the numbers. According to police data, there were 6 shooting deaths in May, 7 in June, 6 in July, and 5 in August. There are 2 so far in September. In total, there are 37 gun-related homicides so far this year. That's 2 fewer than the total for all of 2017. A former Toronto police officer and turned security expert says this is a real problem.
You need to have the police, the boots on the ground. They need to have the authority to go in and be backed by the politicians when they start going after these bad guys. You have to be proactive about this. You have to catch them with the guns on them so we can get them off the streets rather than going after them after the shooting. Toronto has a problem. Shooting, the violent shootings, where they take place, all on the rise, and they're all dangerous. One a very experienced homicide detective I talked to, he told me that these are some of the most brazen, cold-blooded killings he's seen in his career.
And in July, Toronto's police force deployed an additional 200 police officers on the streets as part of an 8-week initiative to curb gun violence. That saw officers in various neighborhoods throughout the city between the hours of 7 p.m. and 3 a.m. But a former convict we spoke with, who is now a community activist, says the key is mentorship and economic opportunity. So he started his own construction company helping at-risk youth, but he said he couldn't do this without his uncle, who helped lay this foundation.
Well, he was just like, yo, do what I did, do it for someone else. And I remember like that just kind of touched my heart, you know. Then I was just like, I kind of got this vision of like doing what he did in terms of, you know, taking someone who was get different conflicts and giving them a trade so they can make some money, and then also like teaching them and putting them on game when they're there, and you know, and just giving them a launch pad for life.
What do you think would have happened if you didn't have that strong voice in your life?
I think that, I don't know. I honestly don't know. You know, you hear a lot about, you know, the different things that are happening these days and gun violence. But you know, I think that I'm thankful that he was there, and you know, that's why again we started this organization.
Benwali started the Out of the Box enterprise 5 years ago, and he's already has trained over 80 youth to work at construction sites throughout the city of Toronto.
Yeah, we try to bring together different people from different cultures. Guys from Jane and Finch, Galloway, you know, Regent Park, all different neighborhoods, because I know what it's like to be low, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know. And that's why it's all about, you know, we're all about elevating our mindset and having a space where you're, you know, putting yourself in a position for success. And I think that's why we need to have, again, more organizations, seeing more, leaders and managers and that look like us and feeling like we have ownership in our city. I think as long as we feel like we're sort of in the box or we're out excluded, you start to see those resistance.
And one final note on that data provided by Toronto Police, the highest, looking back the last 4 years, the highest number of homicide rates was in 2016 when there were 74 deaths. 41 of those were shootings.